It is time once again for our weekly financial forecast. We're joined by Tim Fitzwilliams from Fitzwilliams Financial, as we always are on Tuesdays. Tim, good to see you.
Great to see you again.
All right. Now, something that is very much heavily scrutinized right now is Social Security and the long-term viability of Social Security. It's being discussed between families and people who are approaching retirement. Should people be thinking about adjusting the plans that they've had in place for years or decades with all of this chatter about Social Security?
Well, if things don't change, right now as it's written, it's supposed to say that by 2036, there's about a 25% decrease in Social Security payments. I think people should start erring on the side of caution. If you're under 50, you really might start planning to think that it may not be there and try to figure out how you can replace Social Security in other ways.
Well, should we dive into other ways?
Sure. You have to figure out how you're going to get a stream of income. Do you have a pension at your job? Do you need to create a private pension? Are you fine with certain distribution amounts off of your 401k later? And everybody's different. Some people tend to want to take more risk with that, and some people want to sometimes take less risk with that.
And anytime people are trying to make up ground, as we've talked about, maybe you become a little bit more prone to mistakes. Let's say you're in your 50s and maybe you weren't financially forward thinking for your 20s and 30s, but now you are trying to embody those principles. But you don't want to get caught sort of chasing your tail and then you make mistakes. How do people avoid those mistakes? What are common mistakes for people who got started late saving for retirement?
I think the biggest mistake is adding on debt that you may not need. Be real careful about that. That's when people start thinking about maybe looking at RVs or looking at things as they start to plan their retirement. Really make sure you can handle the debt that you take on. I think that's the biggest mistake. I also think it's never too late to start. It's never too late to start. It's just a question of whether or not you're going to be able to reach the goal that you originally had. You may have to alter it a little bit. And so sometimes that can be uncomfortable, coming to terms with, well, I may have to do some extra work or some side things. Thankfully, with all of the technology we have now, there are things out there like DoorDash and whatnot that can be good supplemental income. I'm not saying that's the only way, but the idea is that you might have to alter your plans if you're starting later.
That's interesting. I want to stay on that. Do you maybe see this as something that maybe unfortunately so could replace Social Security, as you will see 30, 40 years down the road? Maybe those retirement plans include some of that gig economy work across the population?
Well, I think people may not plan on that, but that may be the end result. I don't think anybody wants to work when they want to retire.
Right.
So it comes down to your discipline when you're younger, and especially now when there's not as many pensions as there once was, people are going to have to depend on their own savings and their own discipline to determine what their income is going to look like when they go to retire.
Yeah.
So I think discipline is now more important than it's ever been.
Gotcha. We didn't even get to the last question because you had so much to tell us. Tim, we're going to see you again next Tuesday.
Absolutely.
I see you head to toe with the gray. It matches with the blue very well. Tim Fitzwilliams always brings it for the financial forecast every Tuesday on our 4 p.m. news. If you have questions you want answered, email us at financialforecast@13newsnow.com.